God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to the 29th episode of Your Journey is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey and to Your Journey is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Like I said in the last episode, this is where the shift started with me and this real dad. I stayed gone a lot with my new friend. Her mom was amazing. She had invited me to fly to the mainland. That's what they called it. To fly to California with them and go to Disneyland for a couple of days. I had gotten permission from my boyfriend, my mom and dad, and this real dad. I had a lot of bosses. Of course, because it wasn't going to cost them anything. My friend's mom had offered to pay for everything for me just so I could go. They just took me in like I was family. And again, God sent angels to help me on this traumatic part of my journey. I'm forever grateful, and I would love somehow to reconnect with them again, just to say I never forgot them and to say thank you for your love and your kindness to me at a time that I was so lost and completely out of my comfort zone, which is huge to someone that has suffered any trauma at all. As a child of trauma, my bedroom has always, and still to this day, is my comfort zone. It's my safe place. It's where I can breathe and relax, and I can gather my thoughts, unwind the brain, so to speak. So I was invited to go to the mainland and then back to Hawaii. I had plenty of time left in my 3 very long weeks away from home. But that trip was not to be. Let me say this before I continue on. From the minute I arrived in Hawaii, there was really no connection. And after the ordeal at the commissary store, he was no longer, how I would describe it now, safe for me. Humiliation was normal for me with my mom, and she wasn't safe for me. It would be nothing to be in public and get backhanded by my mom. And the reason most of the time was I looked at her the wrong way or I moved my lips a certain way. Anything to embarrass me or humiliate me. So when someone does that to me, even at that age, they are no longer safe to me. So that, I am sure, changed how I spoke and acted toward this real dad. I remember several mornings that I woke up to my boyfriend calling and checking on me. There is a 5-hour time difference. So when I was waking up, he had already had his full day in at work at his dad's company. I do remember several times he put his dad, his stepmom, his sister, and his brother on the phone to talk to me and cheer me up. I know they were all worried about me. They were like my family. Actually, I was closer to his mom than I would ever be to mine. He kept telling me to hang in there, and when I got home, he would come to Indiana from Florida to visit, of course, his mom and me. Truly, I think he knew I was continuing to be traumatized, and I needed to see him, talk to him. He was the only person I would be honest with about my feelings and how I actually felt. I could drop the mask and the charade with him, pretending like I was okay, and of course, with a smile. Every time I woke up and was told that my boyfriend was on the phone, there was friction. This real dad person did not approve of my relationship with my boyfriend. I didn't need his approval. He had been on the scene with me a total of 5 seconds and wanted to start implementing his rules. He had no idea what I had been through, how I was forced to live, and most of all, what all my boyfriend did do for me. He was there when no one else was. So that topic brought on some friction between this real dad and I. I've never explained myself to strangers, never cared what strangers thought or said. Am I human? Yes, my feelings have been hurt. Most definitely they have. Because some people throughout my life that don't know me, that never took 5 minutes to get to know me or even give me a chance, have said some really hurtful lies about me. And being from a small Midwest town, everything circulates. So, yes, my feelings have been hurt through the years. But those people, they don't define who I am. They don't and can't change who I am. And neither could this real dad. What I didn't know was this was going to be my final night in Hawaii. Promise, it was a surprise to me, but a huge relief. My friend and her older sister and her boyfriend invited me to go to a concert. It was 38 Special and Huey Lewis in the News. It was so much fun. We did have a good time that night. But I did drink a lot that night, and I was brand new to drinking, and I was smoking weed also. So I was pretty messed up when I got to Real Dad's house. Of course, I thought I played it good. Apparently not. He told me years later how messed up I really was that night. I was ashamed, but like I said, that was years later. At 13, I had no shame in my game. So the morning after the concert, I get woke up by this man telling me I had 1 hour to get ready, get packed, and be ready to leave to go to the airport. I was going home. So my first hangover was not very good. I did manage to do what he said, didn't get to call my boyfriend, didn't get to tell my friend goodbye. He wouldn't let me walk 2 houses down to say goodbye to her and her family and to thank them for everything. So off to the airport we went. We didn't like each other at this point, so there was no talking. It was complete silence. I got dropped off at the airport. He did help me check my bag, and he gave me $5 and told me good luck. So again, I was on my own. He wanted to teach this 13-year-old a lesson. All he did was traumatize me more. I do remember walking to my plane, and as I was walking on the plane, I took a real deep breath, and I told myself I would be back again under different circumstances. I got quickly kicked out of Hawaii, shipped out quick. So yes, it is on my bucket list, and God willing, one day I will return, like I said, under different circumstances. So all aboard for another really long flight home. This time, it was going to be even longer. And this time, there was no food that was served on the flights, only snacks and soda. Remember, I got woke up straight out of bed and with my first hangover ever. Did not get a chance to eat a bite. So I get to Los Angeles, and there is a 5-hour layover. So I took my $5 and I bought a pack of grape gum, and I donated $1 to get a sign language card. By the way, I still carry that in my purse to this day. So that pretty much took my $5. I fly to Chicago from Los Angeles, and again, a 5-hour layover. I do remember calling home collect and crying and begging my dad to come to Chicago to get me. I remember him being really calm and telling me to just hold on. I was almost home. I do remember I was starving. It was torture being in an airport for 5 hours. All you see and smell is the food court. And I hadn't eaten in over 24 hours at this point. I can see teaching me a lesson. I truly can. My 53-year-old self would think that making me pack and leave Hawaii was enough. To put me on long flights with no food and long layovers and only give me $5 and tell me good luck, regardless of how I acted, I was only 13 years old. Traumatizing is an understatement. Now looking back, I would like to think that this man, this real dad, had no idea I was made to go without food so many times before I'd even met him. And had he have known, maybe he would have done things different. After the 5-hour layover at Chicago, I finally was on my last flight home. I was so tired, so hungry, and so emotional. I remember thinking I could not wait to see my dad. He was safe to me. My mom, I didn't have words for her. I had just been through a horrible long trip home. And why? All because she sent me there, even though I didn't want to go. She didn't even register in her mind what this trip did to me, how much more trauma and damage it did to me. My dad, he got it. I got off the final flight in Indianapolis, and I was so happy to see my dad. My first words were, I am starving. And then my second sentence is, I want to go see my great aunt. She was really sick when I was made to leave for Hawaii, so she was the first person on my mind when I got home. She was so important to me. She had loved me and watched out for me my whole life. I wasn't told anything until we were in the car and at the first drive-through my dad could find to get me some food. That's when I was told. She had passed away while I was gone. I was completely devastated. I didn't even get to say goodbye. My second loss, my second death, and they were both so important to me. Again, more trauma, more loss. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Tuesday. Everyone have a wonderful weekend, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows.